Welcome to the Other People's Kids podcast, a podcast about my dad and his friend Andy's adventures in fostering and adoption.
Andy, I had surgery this week. I had surgery. I had surgery. I was in hospital, and I was just being prepared in the bed, ready to be put to sleep. And I noticed at the corner of my eye that the surgeon was shaving his hands. And I thought, that's a bit weird. So just as I was dozing off, I said to the nurse, "Oh, nurse, why is this surgeon shaving his hands? It seems really strange." And she said, "Oh, yeah, that's John. He always does that. He's a smooth operator." That's a good one.
Very good.
I appreciate it. So how has your week been?
The weekend has been good. I purchased a roof box for the first time, so I felt quite kind of adultish.
So is that a box to put on top of your house to add storage, like a sort of extension to your house?
No, a roof box to my car.
Oh, for your car. Oh, I did know that. Yeah. Okay. Oh, very cool. And so is that for a planned trip?
Well, because we have two dogs now, if we ever go anywhere, we take dogs with us. Dogs go in the boot in their crate, which then limits the capacity within the car. So yes, that's adding capacity generally. Camping trips, that kind of thing.
So yeah, not only have you got children who take up car space, you've got all the luggage, and then you've got animals as well. That's
Yeah.
We could do an episode, couldn't we, on cars, on suitable cars for family life.
I mean, you've had enough cars.
I've had quite a few cars over the years. Our current ones we've had for like 2 years, so I'm already feeling a bit touchy.
Itchy. Time for a new one.
We could do a Top Gear episode where we could review the best family cars. So the plan for this week, then, this is a mini pod, isn't it? This is a little check-in. We're going to experiment with a different format, maybe 10, 15 minutes, one topic, and to kind of see how it goes.
See how it goes.
So I was inspired for this topic with a conversation we were having recently, which is about sleep and also how to get more of it. So as parents, getting your kids to bed and getting sleep is quite tricky. You've had a whole day of cleaning them, feeding them, stopping them hurting themselves, getting them to school, getting them back from school, getting them to club, getting them back from club. And then you think, oh, we'll sit down and have a nice glass of rosé and watch something. And they just won't go to sleep, or they just keep reappearing. So it's an area of stress, I think, for all parents. So I thought we'd just briefly share our experiences of bedtime and sleep, and then maybe a few tips from our extensive knowledge of parenting. So Andy, what's a normal bedtime like in your household?
So when they first arrived, I did keep a sleep diary because one child, the older child, is just like bomb-proof. War could break out in her room at the foot of my bed with nuclear explosions and she would not wake up. So you tell her to go to sleep. She goes up to her bedroom and goes to sleep. Wow. Amazing.
And it's always been like that?
Always been like that.
Wow.
And she used to share a room with her younger sibling, who's a real nightmare. The complete opposite. He's been a terrible sleeper from day one. So he was waking up every couple of hours. And I thought it'd be fun just to document this. Because you then look back after years, you think, oh my goodness, we're up 6 or 7 times a night. And it was terrible. He was about 1.5 when he came to us. And actually, reflecting back on it, we think it was just obviously the change to a new house, the trauma from leaving the foster carers into a new house. And actually, we probably, on hindsight, should have done things differently, because we did the whole hard cried out thing, which it did work for us actually for that eventually. But we felt that if we stayed in the room for him, like just slept on his floor, that was kind of giving in to him for what he needed. But what actually we think he needed was the reassurance of knowing that we were near. So when we would put him down to bed and leave, that again was like a mini loss and a mini kind of panic. Oh my goodness, have my new parents left me. That's what we think is happening. And actually still happens now.
Yeah.
Sometimes, particularly around thunderstorms, he gets really scared. So we have like a little mattress which we put on the floor next to our double bed, and he sleeps really well. Sorry, my child on a bike is circling around me. You can't come in. I'm recording a pod about you. You can't come in. I'm in a meeting. Meeting. You right? You can't come in. I love you though. So I remember having to. We took him up about 6:30, and he would love it if we would just like tickle his face like that, or like that on his hand, and that would soothe him because he finds it very hard to self-soothe, I think. And you know the phrase, trying to inch out the room. We were like centimetering.
Yeah. I used to do all fours. I've done that many times. The little ones, you just sort of.
But like we found out someone had placed like it sounded like crisp packets underneath our carpet. It was so crinkly.
You could always do sort of rolling. I used to. Sometimes you could roll out the room. You can't go through the door with a roll, so you have to sort of roll up and out.
Yeah, his room is very small, so no rolling could be permitted.
No rolling.
So his sleep was terrible for about 3 years, but now he sleeps through fine now.
Yeah,
so now it's a slightly different problem because obviously he's a young man now, so he's playing in his room. He finds it hard to go right night time. He's got such an active brain. He wants to do lots of things.
Yeah. Have you got any tips that you tried that have helped?
Tips. I mean, one thing which works one day won't work the next day. So
yeah,
tips are don't be rigid about it, I guess, and just hope you find something that works.
That was one of mine really, because I made a few notes. Was particularly as my boys have got older, my teenage sons, is just flexibility. Whilst you keep like routines are really good for children. The importance of routines so they feel safe in school, but also being flexible. So I'm aware of my boys that their kind of circadian rhythm is very different. So their release of melatonin, the stuff that makes us sleep, comes in a lot later than even ours does. So it's kind of silly to get into a battle about them going to bed or going to sleep. So we've got a compromise. So we have a time when they go up to their bedroom, but then they listen to the radio or they read or they just chat to each other and then they go to sleep whenever. Yeah. And that kind of works. With our boys. But I think when I'm thinking about reflecting when they were younger, though, it was all about routine for us. So we just had a real focus. And not just when they went to bed, it was also things like bedtime stories, having the same amount of stories. Same time we put pyjamas on, doing the teeth in the same way. And even really down to micro details. So fostering, particularly we found with little ones, sort of toddlers and young children, is little sort of things that you do that they love and they enjoy, that they can look forward to in the process of going to bed. So with our last two, the little boy and girl we had last year, every time we go to bed, I'd take the 2-year-old in my arms, I'd carry him, and I'd always say, up we go, nice and slow, off to bed, let's find Ted. So Ted was his little toy he had. And he'd laugh because he loved it. I'd say that every time. But then when I put him down in his bed, I'd always say, good night, sausage. And he'd say, I'm not sausage. And then he'd say his name. But it's those little things, that routine that makes them feel safe, secure. And then I think thinking about the morning routine, so they know that there's a certain time when they're going to get up, that you're going to be available. They know where you're going to be is a big one. You've said before that your son will come and find you in the morning, whereas some children are happy on their own, but actually for him, for whatever reason, he needs that security of knowing where you are. And I think it can help with routines if the children know, you can pop in and see us, or they know where you'll be in the morning.
He used to come and find me. Now he very politely, he starts off very politely and it goes dramatically downhill from there. He very politely shouts, please, can Papa come and get me?
That's quite cute.
That's very cute and very polite, but any words beyond that quickly deteriorate.
For my kids, it was always when they needed their backsides wiping when they'd been to the toilet. So, Daddy, can you wipe me now? But they always said that. They always asked for me and not for my wife. I was like, this is not good.
The roles we fall into.
Yeah, I think I've got a friend of mine who talks about how he is the poo wee sick monitor of the house, and I feel it's become one of those roles, the few roles left that is kind of a particular gender. So anything to do with poo wee or sick seems to be my job.
Yeah, I know. Same here.
Yeah, now we've fallen into that one. Little things like blackout blinds have been really helpful for us. You know, this time of year, middle of June, it gets sunny at 4 a.m. until like 11 p.m. So do you use blackout blinds in your rooms for the kids?
Tin foil and blue tack.
Tin foil. Is that to block out the sun? Does that work?
Yeah, blocks out the sun.
Oh, but there's a money saving tip. We've got these fancy branded ones that
very middle class and posh.
Yeah, very middle class. Oh, some of our rooms have built-in blackout blinds as well.
Oh.
Even posher. So we found that has worked, and then things like avoiding screens. So with our kids, we've always said no screens in bedrooms, no TVs, games, stuff like that. I know not everyone does that, and that's fine. That's everyone's parenting choice, but that makes things easier down the line when you're trying to get them to go to sleep when they haven't got like an instant bit of dopamine hit available to them in their room.
What has been the worst foster care child sleeper?
So we had a little boy who, first 6 months of his life, or 5-6 months, he was in hospital, quite severe medical needs to do with his sort of food pipe and connecting everything up, which meant that he had severe reflux all the time. So he was always in a measure of pain, and he had various things, pipes going into him and feeding tubes, and we had this machine that used to feed him. That was really hard. So that was the only time in our fostering where we've needed a break, where we've needed someone else to train, another foster carer, to take him for a few nights so that we could get some sleep, because he was... I mean, in some ways it's easier when you know why it's happening, because he was in so much pain. We felt quite sorry for him, but it was still really hard. But in terms of lack of sleep, that one was hard. He'd sleep for like an hour, and then he'd be up in agony again. That was really difficult. Have you found, is there any sort of tips, things that you found have helped? You said things obviously change every day, but is there any sort of practical things, like blackout blinds, that you found have been helpful?
Yeah, tin foil on the windows. He's now got a little astrobot thing which projects like a galaxy nebula thing, which changes colours, and it's got stars. He's got a lava lamp. He's got a sleep clock. Oh, the sleep clock's quite good because it's what they're called, grow clocks.
Oh, grow clock, yeah, with the lights. Yeah, I've seen those.
So the rule is you're not allowed to shout for Papa until the sun comes up, and he's pretty good about that now. He won't shout until it goes yellow, and he's learnt that. But actually, we have a traditional wine clock in our living room, and often he will go and move the dial up or down depending on what he wants. So if I say you can't have a snack until the big hand gets to the top, he has on occasion gone and opened at the face of the clock and moved the big hand, which I thought was quite clever.
Ingenious. You need a digital clock that might make it harder.
Yeah. Can't crack that.
Yeah.
How about tips from you? Any tips?
So other than, blackout blinds, really thinking about the environment. So not having loads of toys, or putting the toys away is good, so they're not like distracted by toys. And the whole routine around going to bed and bedtime, I think it has been good. And with our teenage sons particularly, it's that flexibility of not making a battle, but explaining like we need some time as mum and dad to sort things out in the house. But that's the other, because that's the pressure though I think we put on ourselves. So if we know that we're planning to do something nice, or we're planning to eat a bit later, that's another kind of small tip, is trying to not put anything in straight away after bedtime. I know once the kids are bed, we'll do this, or we'll join that meeting, or I'll do this, or because it's instant stress then, because I've got this to do, but they're not going to sleep. So I think having a buffer zone of when they go to sleep with whatever you want to then do.
Sky TV is good for that now, because if you've got a program starting at 8,
you can start it from the beginning again, can't you?
You can start it or pause it, because otherwise you're pressurizing, right? Because sometimes I often myself have wound the clock forward to say, oh, it's bedtime now. But actually it's 10 minutes too fast, because I want them to be in bed.
So you can watch something.
Because the football's starting in half an hour or whatever.
Yeah, that's with sport, it's different. You want it live, don't you?
Yeah, it feels different, doesn't it, if it's not live?
So if any listeners have any sort of top tips for helping their children to sleep, to stay asleep, or to get to sleep in the first place, or to stay in their bedroom, do pop it in the comments or pop us an email. It'd be good to hear. Any final words from you, Andy?
Have a great night's sleep.
And stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, like, and follow the podcast. If you want to get in touch, you can email hello@otherpeopleskids.co.uk.